Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching The Breakfast Show, and now we're going to talk about the Arab Theater. Under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Cairo hosts the 16th edition of the Arab Theater Festival from January 10th to the 16th, 2026, bringing together some of the most compelling theatrical voices from across the Arab world. The event is organized by the Arab Theater Institute in partnership with the Ministry of Culture. And to shed more light on this topic, we are delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Mohamad Hashim. He is Professor of Mass Communication and Theatrical Director. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on your fantastic show this morning again, and Maspira building. Very excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Mohamad. First of all, tell us more about the 16th round of the festival and also the participants and the agenda of this year.
Yes, it's very exciting. It's the 16th year of the Arab Theatre Festival. It began in 2009 in Egypt, in Cairo. So Egypt was the first country to host this amazing cross-cultural event between most of the North African countries and a lot of the Middle East. So it's the MENA region. So you got Qatar, Kuwait, Algeria, Lebanon, I think Saudi Arabia. So you have the combination of the whole Middle East basically combining in Egypt for the third time to celebrate Arab theatre. So I lived a lot of my life in Australia. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know a lot about Arab theatre. It has a rich history, especially in Egypt. So Egypt, it began in 1870. And a lot of the theatre was coming from Syria. So a lot of the Syrians were coming from the Arab Peninsula back then, moved to Egypt, and they began the Arab theatre here. So we have a huge history in Egypt. People like Naguib al-Rahani, of course, he began the public working class Egyptian theatre in the late 30s and 40s to make it more Egyptian for the audience. So this is a great opportunity. It's on until the 16th of January, this festival, and it holds a lot of workshops in Alexandria, in Cairo, and
tell us more about these workshops, Dr.
There are
Mohamad.
acting workshops, directing workshops. I think it's very good to have workshops in a festival. It's a way for the artists to give back to the community. So the artists are coming here to act, and to act in their culture, the different cultures. And believe it or not, they are different cultures. So there is a difference between Algeria and Egypt, Qatar and Egypt, Kuwait and Egypt. So we see a lot of differences. It's not all one thing. So it's always good to have workshops for young people in acting and directing, and that's very important in a festival.
And also Saudi Arabia is participating, as you mentioned. Maybe this is the first time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the opening will have Dr. Sameh Marhan. He'll be giving a speech at the beginning. He'll be telling us about the collaboration between all the Arab cultures that will be participating in this fantastic 16th edition of the Arab Theatre Festival.
Dr. Mohamad, how does the event reflect Egypt's stance as a leading country in the field of theatre?
Yes, it's a very important thing to bring up, because where I come again from in Australia, Australia started its modern theatre in the 1950s. Egypt started way before that, giving real Egyptian theatre. So Egypt is way ahead of its time in the Arab world, North Africa, and around the world. It is unprecedented. It began, like I said, in the 1870s. So I think, a lot of the Arab nations around Egypt emulate Egypt. So they look up to Egypt in its artistic world, whether it's theatre, cinema, but especially the theatre world. So definitely a pioneer, definitely a leader in the region and the world. And that also includes cinema. So really
and how do you view the effect of theatre on societies in general?
It's very important. I think even with all the new AI things that are going on at the moment, everybody's using AI, everybody's using technology and phones. Theatre and opera and live performance remains very paramount and important, because it's the only thing you can't replace. AI can replace work for lawyers. They can replace some things for medicine, like radiology and stuff like that. But you cannot replace live performance. It's the real human experience. And we're very lucky to have the 16th
edition of the festival
here in Egypt.
Yeah, Dr. Mohamad, what would the festival add to the world of Arab and Egyptian theaters?
I think it brings national identity. I think Arab theatre always talks a lot about national identity, history, and it does touch on personal stories also, but it's quite important to bring unity to the region. The region does suffer for a lot of conflict over the last 60, 70 years. So it's always great to bring all these different countries together in the one space and have a unifying language, which is Arabic, different dialects. Algeria is different to Egyptian and Moroccan is different to Saudi Arabian, but there's always that poetic feel about the Arab culture and the Arabic language. So it's unity. It's also discovering one another's qualities and differences. I mean, I did a play in America a couple of months ago, and this was an English play, written in English, Australian English, and the American audience don't really understand Australian English that much, and they were asking a lot of questions. They were interested in finding out about Australian culture, and I think we are the same here too. If we listen to Libyan or Algerian or Tunisian,
the dialect,
and things about the culture, we sit there, we compare. Is that what we do? Is that what we don't do? So there's a lot of comparison, and there's a lot of trying to relate to what's going on stage. It's really important in theatre to find things that are relatable for the audience. And that's something that is really going to be important in this festival.
Dr. Mohamad, we want to talk more about youth and how, and the workshops and people interested in theater. What's your view in this field?
I think, because I lived in this world for many years in Australia and here, I think it's very important to do workshops. Even if you're an advanced actor or director, it's always good to upgrade your skills.
It's never too late.
Never too late. It's a fantastic thing, and it's also a very human connection. You need to learn how to become human with your fellow human beings, and theatre and acting and directing gives you that opportunity to perform, to release emotions, to express yourself. And it's actually quite therapeutic. It actually helps a lot of people overcome a lot of mental illness and things like that. There's something called theatre of the oppressed, and they use a lot of psychodrama. It's called psychodrama, where you can express your anguish and you can express some past trauma by standing on stage and breathing and yelling and acting out. So there's an actual science called theatre of the oppressed.
Therapy.
It is, definitely. And it's something that you continuously do for the rest of your life. There's a really famous book by a Dutch psychologist called Wessel van der Kolk. He wrote a book called The Body Keeps the Score. Now what he's trying to say there, every time we get traumatized, our body stores trauma in our body. So by moving around and acting and singing and doing things,
get rid of this.
You get rid of it. You actually, you release a lot of the blockages in the body. So theatre is definitely therapeutic. Singing is, theatre is a communal event. It's an activity where you need a lot of people to, cooperate. It's not a one-man show. It can be a monologue, monodrama, but usually it's not. Usually it's a combination of there's directors and producers and actors and backstage and lighting. There's so much involved. So there needs to be that sense of cooperation, friendliness, to make it happen. And this festival has so much involved. There's people coming from overseas, staying in hotels, bringing their decoration with them, bringing their costumes with them, getting to know the different stages. There are going to be stages in Hanagar, the children's theatre in Ataba. Moving around from stage to stage also teaches you cooperation and getting used to being acclimatized to different stages. When I did my plays, we used to do rehearsals in a room, but then there's something called the tech run, which you have to come in and do your run on the stage to get familiar with the stage. You need to know the entries and the exits, where the lighting is, where am I going to stand, so that takes a long time. So I think it's a fantastic art form. It's been around for hundreds of years. Australia began with indigenous theatre in the 1870s, which was the original people of Australia, and then they began doing British theatre in the 1910s and 20s, which is basically Shakespeare. And it took them until the 1950s to have the courage to start doing their own theatre with the own Australian accent. So first it was the convicts that came to Australia acting in a very British manner, trying to copy the British, and because they thought that was the way to do it. And then the 1950s and 60s, they had their own style, which was the Australian accent and the Australian style. And then you had playwrights like David Williamson emerged later on in the 1970s. So these people were talking about working class issues in the 1950s, and then David Williamson will talk about things like middle class. So it's very similar to what happens here. We, you know, Naguib Rahani wanted...
And Yusuf Wahbi
and Yusuf Wahbi, of course, yes. They wanted to bring the theatre to the public, to the working class, and it's very important.
And they succeeded.
And they succeeded.
Yeah.
Australia hasn't really succeeded in that. It's still quite a niche market.
Oh, really?
A niche art form. Most people go to the cinema, or they go to the football. They don't all go to the theatre. It's seen as...
What is the reasons behind this? Is it very expensive?
It's a little bit more expensive than the cinema, and there's not much advertising about it. It's always, you know, certain people go to the opera, or certain people go to the theatre, not everybody.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of free shows like here. Here there's a lot more work involved in integration with the public and theatre, which I reckon is great. And like you said, also the workshops is really important. Continuation of workshops is really important because it gets people wanting to learn more things and to be engaged.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that Australia can reach out to the rest of the public. The public love their football in Australia. Hopefully one day they can all like going to live shows. They like musicals. Like most of the people like to go see a musical, like Phantom of the Opera or West Side Story. But the acting theatre is sometimes somewhat a bit strange.
Yeah. Dr. Mohamad, you mentioned at the beginning the social media impact and the AI impact. Do we still have, after all this technology in our life, do we still have the theatre audience in Egypt here who are keen to go and attend the shows and plays?
In Egypt? Yeah. Definitely, definitely. Every year we have the experimental theatre, the National Theatre Festival every year, and around August, September. There are lines waiting outside. I've never seen that anywhere in the world. Yeah. There are lines of young people, you know, from 24, under 24, waiting in line to go watch a play. And I've never seen that anywhere in the world. You know, usually young people stand outside to go to a nightclub or something, but they're coming to get educated and get cultured. So there's a huge... and that's one of the reasons why I stayed in Egypt, because I studied drama in Australia, and there wasn't that much going on in Australia. When I came here, I found an explosion of acting and directing and the love of the stage.
Passion.
There's a passion, and there's a vernacular. There's a language that Egyptians have when they speak about live performance. There's a passion, there's a love for live performance, for Aid al-Muhandis, Aid al-Imam, the old place from the 60s. You know, you can get young people these days, they can quote things from El-Banat El-Ayal Kebru, all these old Egyptian plays that were made 50 years ago. Young people today can still quote.
Love.
That doesn't happen in America, it doesn't happen in Australia. I don't think you can get a young person in America or Australia quoting from old plays in the 50s. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Unless they're, you know, in the industry. Yeah.
Dr. Mohamad, are you participating in this festival by any play?
There's only one Egyptian play, so the rest are all from other countries.
So tell us more about the issues or different plays that will be tackled in this year's edition of the show.
The Egyptian play is called Carmen. So there might be a reliving the old Carmen story, which is made into a musical and made into an opera. So the Carmen love story. The other ones, they're talking about society, so what happens in society between husband and wife. I think the Qatar one is talking about more national stories, so patriotic poetry and national stories. So some of the countries don't allow some of the personal stories to come out, so they talk about the whole national pride and national stories and history, pride of history. So there's a combination between the personal and the national pride in the story.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And how do you assess the Arab theatrical reality today, Dr. Mohamad?
I think it's fantastic. Like I said, you know, I've been all around the world, in Europe, I think that the space in the Middle East is fantastic for theatre, and there's a love and a passion for theatre, and there's also the Sheikh Sultan Award that is given to the winner at the end, and they judge the winner by decoration, by directing. So having that competition element in it is really exciting too, and that happens in all the theatre festivals in Egypt. The University Theatre Festival, the National Theatre Festival. There's always the element of which is the best play, which is the best decoration, which is the best acting. So I think that's important for young people to have that sporting challenge when they do art, not just art for the sake of art. There's also a challenge to win a prize, to win maybe money or some sort of recognition.
Yes.
So I think having that that prize at the end is very important.
Yeah. As an Egyptian living in Australia, do we expect more collaboration in the coming period between Australia and Egypt in the field of theatre?
I hope so. I've done a few. I've done the last 4 years, I've done 2 plays. One was called Sharaf. We did it in 2021. It was a play actually written by an Australian guy called Michael Gray about a story about honour in Iraq. And he got me to direct it because it's an Arabic story.
Okay.
That was done in 2021. 2024,
It was in Australia, not in Egypt.
Yeah, in Australia.
It was performed there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in 2024, I wrote a play and directed it called Gallipoli, A Story Untold. So I wrote it, and it was performed in Australia. I've brought over practitioners from Australia to teach acting here. So we had a lady, this is about 7 years ago. We had a lady called Mani from Australia. She came to teach acting for the students in the British University, and they enjoyed a lot of the exercises and the freedom of expression that she taught.
Getting to know different cultures.
And so we've done a lot of this trade between Australia and Egypt. I've brought practitioners from Egypt to Australia also. So we continue to make that cross-cultural, and again, like I always say, when they get over the language barrier, they realize they're very similar. Very similar culture, very similar humor. At the beginning they're a bit standoffish and you're a bit different, but once you get over the language and the fact that we look different, okay, everyone looks different from everyone else, okay, but if you can get over that, you can really find the common ground and realize that, that's what theatre does. Theatre strips away the pretentious things like class and nationality and looks, and it does something called the human condition. And a good play strips away all the pretentious stuff, and you just find what it's like to be human, what it means to be human, and that's what the theatre does, and that's what live experience does. When you sit there, I remember watching a very important play by Samuel Beckett called, one of my favourite plays, Samuel Beckett, the Irish director, Krapp's Last Tape. I actually went and saw it in Spain 16 years ago, and I don't understand Spanish. But I sat in the first row. I didn't understand anything of the language, but I'm recaptivated by the whole thing. There was a man on stage, and he was yelling and emotional and crying. I didn't understand what he was saying, but it didn't matter.
But you understood the idea.
Understood it. And I felt the Spanish people next to me engaging in what was happening. I'm like, oh, this must be a really serious thing and very emotional. So, and that's the human element. I walked out just as emotional, just as shocked as they are. And I don't understand the language, and that's what live performance does. More than cinema.
This is theatre.
This is live performance theatre, definitely.
Hey, well, Dr. Mohamad Hashim, the Professor of Mass Communication and Theatrical Director, thank you very much for coming today to Nile TV International.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Mohamad.